Great. Thank you, Tricia. Are folks still in the waiting room, or I mean, we'll give it a minute.
I haven't had anybody else ask to join.
Okay. Well, I'll just kick off and say hello. My name is Sarah Posada, and I am the mom of a 4th grader at Rose City Park and a 6th grader at Roseway Heights. And I know a lot of you on screen, but not all of you on screen, certainly. So I'm really thrilled to see this group tonight. Heather, who will introduce herself, and I will be sort of going through the OBOB overview, and Tricia's gonna also share some things about her role with OBOB and what she's doing with the school. Miss Ivester couldn't join us tonight because I think she's got some sort of meeting at Roseway. So we are recording this meeting to go on Miss Ivester's YouTube channel to share with other parents who were not able to join. But just want to say hello and welcome and pass it over to Heather.
Thanks, Sarah. My name is Heather Wright. I have a 5th grader who will be also doing OBOB this year, and a 7th grader who loved OBOB when she was at Rose City Park and now is excited to do it again at Roseway Heights this year. Also, Sarah and I both helped a lot last year with facilitation of OBOB battles. And so most of what we're going to be presenting tonight is incorporated from that experience. So it's a lot of repeat material. If you came to the coaches training, for example, last year, these slides may look very familiar. I'm going to put a link in the chat to the online presentation. It's a Google slideshow. The reason I'll put the link in the chat is that throughout the presentation, we have a bunch of links to resources, and those links will probably be easier to click on if you just can go into the presentation directly. We'll share our screen for the presentation today, but let's see, the link's in the chat, and we'll try to disseminate that link through an email from Beth moving into the future. Should we get started, or another minute?
Let's do it.
Okay. Let's see here. Do you want to share, Sarah, or me?
Sure. I can share.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just put this into presentation mode. Can you guys see that? Yeah, great. Sorry, let me just figure out how to get this into presentation mode, like somebody who's never worked virtually in her whole life. 1 minute, please. Okay, that's loading. I now can't see anybody, so just speak up since I can't see your faces at the moment. All right, Heather, do you want to kick us off with what we're going to be talking about today?
Sure, yeah. So this is just an outline of what we'll go over tonight. This is an information night. The registration forms you may have seen are not due until tomorrow. So there's still time to organize, to submit forms, things like that. So what we'll introduce today, we'll start by talking about what OBOB is. We'll cover the RCP Sun OBOB program that Tricia will be leading. She'll talk about that. We'll discuss what a battle looks like so you get an idea of what OBOB battles are all about. We'll go over some suggestions for what the coach's role at the elementary school level might be. We'll talk about timeline for events moving towards battles in the late winter. And then we'll provide a slew of different resources, online resources, and suggestions for where you might find books, or help us support the school to get more books. Yep.
All right. Well, I'll start here. Hope you guys can hear me okay. So this is sort of our overview. What is OBOB? OBOB is a celebration of reading. It is a statewide program that's been popular in Oregon for a couple decades at least, that's run by the State Library Association, I believe. And the way it works is that students are organized in groups of 4 or 5. As a collective, they read 16 books that are chosen by the OBOB committee. And these books, one of the reasons I love OBOB so much is because it gets my kids reading books that they wouldn't normally pick off the shelf. It's diverse in a lot of different ways, and the books are outstanding. The books are available at the Rose City Park Library. They are kind of available at the Multnomah County Library. I just put a ton of things on hold. So, get yourself in the queue, and also available at local bookstores. We do have an Amazon wish list if anybody wants to donate to the Rose City Park Library OBOB collection. Usually Ms. Ivester organizes a set of 4 or 5 OBOB books that the kids can take out over the course of the next few months. And it's really important to have a good set of those in our school library. So as I said, each team consists of about 4 or 5 kids. Kids often self-organize into teams, but also there is organizing that happens at the school-wide level. So I think, as all the materials say, please, if your student hasn't organized a team, still definitely sign up, and there will be some organization happening at the school-wide level to make sure that every kid gets on a team. And then as a collective, each team reads 16 books. So usually each kid reads about 5 or 6 books. Some kids love to read them all. Some kids read fewer than that. It's really managed as a team. And then after months of reading and practicing and talking about the books, we get together as a school community and have a battle night. It's really fun. Last year we had, 16 teams, I think, battling in classrooms throughout the school. And we'll go through the battle format later on, but it is a really fun event. The teams battle each other by answering questions about the books in a quiz show format. And we'll also go into this a little bit more deeply, but the questions about the books are very much trivia, kind of detail questions. They're not deep thematic questions about your understanding of the story. So I'm going to pause here, and we'll go much more deeply into all of these points throughout the presentation. So at this point, if it's okay with you, Trisha, to hand it over to you to talk a little bit about your role and the incredible role you're playing to make OBOB happen at our school this year.
Yeah, so this year we met with Principal Bacon, myself, and Beth Ivester got together to make sure that we took a look at OBOB and its ability to be accessed by a large range of students. So we wanted to make sure we were focusing on equity. And so this year, one part is that we're doing presentations in different areas and hoping to get into some of our neighborhood community centers within our school district or within our school boundaries. And then the second part is this OBOB Sun program, which Beth Ivester had led in the past. I will be leading that this year, and we're just going to be really intentional. It'll be 15 to 20 students, so it's not for the overall population of students participating in OBOB. However, it's to provide intentional resource for students who may not have as much family support. One thing we know about OBOB is it's a lot of parent input to get OBOB running, and it's a lot of parent support to get our teams up and going. Each team has a parent coach, and those 1 to 2 parent coaches, and those coaches usually meet weekly or every other week with their team. They practice, they get their team together outside of school. So that's typically like within your home, maybe in a community setting. It's cold outside, so we're not meeting in parks really, but we have met outside in the years past because we all know why. But so the OBOB Sun program is then going to focus on groups or teams who maybe don't have as much support or access to. Some of our families have, maybe different work schedules and aren't able, but we still want those students to be able to participate. So I'll be in a group setting, kind of helping them practice for the battles, going over practice questions, probably have some practice battles within the students that we have there. I don't know if whole teams will necessarily be chosen, but it may be just team members. You may have a few team members in the OBOB, depending on who needs to participate and who signs up to participate with that the OBOB Sun program. And then that'll be run through Kim Kenyon. So she'll send that out when she sends out the Sun forms. So if you feel like you could really benefit and your child could really need that extra support, then please sign up. And then, but also be conscious of the fact that if, like, for me myself, I have a fourth grader this year and a 7th grader. And so I coached both of their teams, but this year I'm not doing the 7th grade team or the 6th grade team. Sarah Posada's and I'm gonna stick with the 4th grade team. And so I think about that. I would not sign my child up to be in the Sun program because I know that we are able to support them as a family, or they have like dedicated Sarah, for example, will coach the 6th grade team. So I know that they have a dedicated adult. So if you felt like your team maybe didn't have a parent who was able to dedicate that kind of time, that's who we really want to focus on getting signed up for the OBOB Sun program. Is there any questions about that? Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Trisha. That's great. I will continue to share the slides, and Heather, over to you in a second. Okay.
Okay, so I'll just introduce what an OBOB battle looks like in anticipation of what kinds of things to help your child talk about in preparation for the competition. So there are 2 kinds of questions in OBOB battles. There are in which book questions and there are content questions. The in which book questions involve some sort of statement, say the example here, in which book does someone think sea lions are judgmental? So there's a description of some sort of event saying, in which book did this happen? There are a finite number, 16 books that could be the answer. And then the answer must include the full title of the book and the author's name correctly pronounced. So the answer in this case, this is from last year, the answer would be The Care and Feeding of a Pet Black Hole by Michelle Cuevas. So that's the first type of question. Students have to recollect which book some particular event happened. The second type of question is a content question. These are usually 1-word or 2-word, very short answer type content answers. And the example here is, in Astrid the Unstoppable, who owns the hair salon? So the kinds of things that they might have to answer would be names of people, colors of things that happen, names of pets, places, very simple. They feel like very trivia-like questions, and you're always given the name of the book and then asked the question about that book. Each battle involves 16 questions. The first 8 are in which book questions. The second 8 are content questions, but the questions alternate between the two teams that are battling. So the first question will go to team A, the second question to team B, and back and forth like this through the 16. The important other part is that if a single team gets the answer wrong, the answer is incorrect, then the other team has the opportunity to steal those points. So it's a back and forth trivia type quiz battle where teams can steal points from the other team. Usually it's for the content questions, either full credit or no credit. There are some exceptions, but we'll get to that later in the season. For the in which book questions, you get partial credit if you only get the title or you only get the author, and then the other team can get the other part if it goes to them. During battles, only 4 students can participate at a time. So what does that mean? That means if you have 5 students on your team, you'll have to develop a rotational schedule for battles. So the first battle, you'll pick 4 people. There'll be another battle, perhaps later in the night. You can choose a different 4 people, but only 4 people participate in battles at a time. So that's just something to manage because somebody will be out of the process during each battle if you have 5 kids on your team. The other, I think, final thing to mention at this point is that students, when they give their answer, there will be one selected spokesperson for the team, and that person is responsible for giving the answer, even if it was somebody else on the team that actually knew the answer. So when you ask the question, they have about 15 seconds to talk. They have to whisper. This is definitely something to practice, the whispering and not being too loud part. And then the spokesperson gives the answer. I know that was a lot of information all at once. We'll go over it again later. But for sure, something to practice when people go through practice questions is the process of discussing the answer, figuring out how they're going to come to either consensus or pick a single answer, because only one answer can be given and it has to be given by the spokesperson. Any questions about that? Okay, Sarah. Maybe I'll just continue for this one, Sarah.
Great.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So we're back to in-person battles this year. The past 2 years, we've had online battles and then kind of some different hybrid versions of things. We're back to in-person battles. There are some videos of previous battles if you were really curious how these go. And there's a link here to the OBOB official website, and those previous battles are linked on that webpage. You can also find some if you just go to YouTube and type OBOB battle. You'll find a bunch. That might be helpful. Here you can see a photograph of, I think this is the state OBOB battle, and you can see there's a moderator in the center. There are 2 different teams. You see 2 people on the side of the moderator who's giving the questions, and those 2 people are the timekeeper and the scorekeeper. I think this is also a good opportunity to mention that sometimes kids get into team unity things that they might wear. I was caught unaware of this the first season my elder daughter did OBOB. Sometimes kids make t-shirts, or they draw on t-shirts, or they maybe all wear their same color RCP t-shirt, or they maybe, make themselves a paper button, or they make a hat, something. Usually teams do something, and it doesn't have to be something that costs money. It can be just something that they wear for team unity. And I did not know about that. So our team showed up to the school battles feeling surprised. So I thought we thought we should mention that does happen sometimes. Super, super, super important. The school battle only happens through lots of volunteer help on the nights of the school battles. We're going to need help in addition to the coaches for each team, for people to be moderators, timekeepers, and scorekeepers. And so everyone should have it in their mind that you're going to need several people, maybe even 2 to 3 people on your team. So that'll be the coach plus maybe 1 to 2 others that help on the nights of the battles in order to make this happen. Any questions? No. Okay, Sarah. You want to do this one?
Sure. Yeah. So I know this is not, oh, sure, Sarah.
I have a
Maggie.
question. I'm curious, lots of Sarahs in this meeting.
Yeah.
I'm curious in terms of the parents that are supporting each team, will there be like the way that you're saying that, you know, if kids can't form their own group, the school will support with that. Will there also be some support for like getting adults? If there was a team that was created and only one adult, for example, is available, is there support for that?
Yeah, that did happen. I mean, that there's always a team that, I mean, for sure, we're all parents who understand that things come up too. So for sure, we're gonna find a way to make it work, but we want to set the expectation early that like hopefully lots of people keep it in their awareness so that we don't end up empty-handed the night of, because yeah.
Okay.
We want to support all of those contingencies. Yes.
Fair enough.
Heather, do you mind if I make a comment here?
Yeah.
I think sometimes it evens out as well, because we have some teams that maybe have all 4 parents or all 8 parents, you know, depending on the makeup of the teams, who can help out. And so when we get to that point, we really call on everyone. Like I know my husband, who had never participated before, last year participated. And we just really, you know, we'll pull from anyone on the teams who can support to fill in where we need. So.
In fact, if you know people with, say, middle schoolers who did this last year and those parents want to come, yeah, that'd be great. You cannot moderate your own child's battle. So that's the one thing that's a scheduling challenge, and would be helpful, you know, if there are other parents. Oh, there's a comment. Our teams are already formed. Some teams are already formed, and there are still some teams that are in the process of formation. So yes, there's still opportunity to join teams.
Yeah. So, hey, Bethany, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just and I'm sorry I was late. I couldn't find the link. I'm just curious how, because Vivi is under the impression that all the teams are formed and there's no opportunity to get on a team, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right. The information session is just tonight. So if you could just point me in that direction, and if you've already gone over it, I'm sorry.
No, not at all, Bethany. So forms are due tomorrow, hopefully, so that we can start sort of arranging. So if Vivi doesn't have a team, we'll find a team to slot her into. But it's not, yeah, certainly
Okay.
please sign up. And that'll be figured out on the back end. I also wanted to note, because I got a text, if you didn't get a form.
Yeah, no forms.
Yeah, I don't know, Heather, you were saying the link, like the person who texted me said there's a link, but I don't think we have a link for signing up. It's just through the forms. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. So yeah.
Let's see. Trisha, did you send, no, or did Beth send a copy?
So when Beth presented to, when Beth presented to each of the classes, 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, and when she presented the OBOB books and kind of overall idea, she had out applications for the students to take home. So I know even for my own team, I keep saying, did you guys turn in your application, you know, your forms? And they'll be like, oh, I forgot. Or, oh, I didn't take one home. So it was kind of left on the onus of the student themselves to take it home. It wasn't sent home with every student. So it was more like, if you're interested, grab one and take it home to your parent. So what I'm thinking is I can put my email in the chat.
There also was a link just posted from the Facebook page, and that is a 2022 to 2023 form for signing up. If you have a way to print that form, that you can fill that out.
And is there a way to get it besides Facebook?
You know, I will, when I stop sharing the screen, I will go to Facebook and download it and put it in the chat here.
Great.
And then, yeah, Trisha, I'll send it to you maybe to also.
Here,
I have the forms somewhere.
Okay.
However, I'll also put my email out, and if anyone can't print them, send me an email and I'll put it in your kiddo's cubby tomorrow.
Thank you.
I also think, okay, yeah, Christy's question, is the registration for the individual or team? Yeah, great. Decided yesterday to do OBOB. So I think the registration is for the individual, and the parent and the student both have to sign and sort of agree, because it is a commitment to read the books and, you know, support the process. Teams, if you have a team organized or you have a partial team organized, there's room on the form to put the team or the coach. But if you don't have that, no problem, just still sign up, and then that'll be kind of the back end work of forming teams. And Miss Ivester has a gift for doing that. Also, Christy, you asked what time is the form due? I mean, I think the ideal is that the kids would bring in the forms tomorrow, but I'm certain that if a form comes in later this week, the student would still be able to do OBOB. Right?
Yeah, just the sooner the better for arranging teams, just because once that starts, it's going to be hard to undo, redo. So just the sooner the better.
Hi, sorry not to harp on the form thing, but I just clicked on this link and this looks like what I filled out in order to get this invite. So does this mean I've signed up if I filled out this form that's linked to this Google Doc that's linked in this chat box, or is it a different form?
So you filled it, you put your student's name, their teacher, and I'd like to participate.
Yeah, so like a month or so ago. I assume that's why I got an invite to this meeting.
I think the invite was hopefully shared more broadly, but if you've filled out this form, then you're good.
Okay, cool. And then we just find out at a certain point what the team is. Okay, sorry.
Or there may be some iteration. Beth might contact you and say, hey, does this work?
Okay.
It just depends on numbers and, you know, grade levels and how she thinks teams might work together. You might hear from her beforehand, or maybe you'll just hear what team your child is on.
Okay, cool. Okay, sorry, this is our first year at.
Yeah, me too.
No, that's why we're doing this. So we're here for any questions.
Cool.
Yeah, Maggie.
Double checking. So I found the form, didn't come to our house. We'll send it tomorrow. And on the paper, there isn't a spot for like, hey, this is our team, I'm the coach, all that, but you want us to just add that all on that piece of paper so that Beth and you guys have that info?
Should be on the paper.
It just
Give me just a
says-
second. There's another document, and I'll see if I can find it and I'll load it.
Okay.
It just, my
So
computer's
this one is just the like,
super slow.
I'm interested from the kid, and then the parent of the kid signing, not the actual like team sign up.
Yeah, it's true. This looks slightly different than the one I remember. So we'll figure that out in the next few minutes. And
Okay, great.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Thank
even the Facebook one is not the full. Okay. We have an extra one at our house, and I can also make copies. So we can also connect on that if needed. Someone named Camara Pete. Hi.
I go by Charlie. Sorry, my
Okay.
correct camera. My son very much wants to do OBOB. I filled out the paperwork. I don't remember having him sign it. Honestly, maybe he did, and I'm a little worried. I was like, well, maybe if he didn't sign it, he's not gonna get. Okay. I joined a little bit late. How many people are we shooting to have per team? I have no idea, but I'm just hoping somebody will put them on a team. I'm sure Beth will figure that out. But are they shooting for like 4 or 5 kids per team?
yes, 4 is kind of ideal. Then nobody has to sit out, but it usually just doesn't quite work out numbers wise to have all the teams be 4. So,
and when are the battles? Are they like during school or right after school?
we'll get to that in the timeline piece.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna share the screen again. One sec. Okay, so I know this is like an overall informational meeting and not a coach's training per se, but we did want to share a little bit about what the coach's role is in this process. So the main thing that the coach is there to do is to keep the kids on track with their reading and make sure the kids have fun. This is the whole point of OBOB, is that kids love reading, expose themselves to new books, and really find a passion for reading. So it's about making sure this stays like fun. That's the number one thing. So the coach is there to plan team meetings and practices. And again, we'll have sun support for kids whose families are having a harder time supporting meetings and practices. The coach's role is to help team members get to know each other and develop camaraderie and a sense of teamwork. There is a lot of teamwork practice that goes on an OBOB team. There are disagreements about answers. There's how to sort of support each other. There's who gets to be the spokesperson. There are a lot of team building conversations and skills developed throughout. So the coach's role is there to really cultivate that team building experience. The coach is there to help teams prepare for battles. Often that's through giving them practice trivia questions, through helping the kids, sort of quizzing the kids on author pronunciation, and things like that. It's really important that the kids have a sense of what a battle is like going into it, because it is kind of weird. It's not something they've necessarily done before, and there is a real system to it. So it's important to practice that in advance. And then finally, and very importantly, model and teach sportsmanship skills for the competition. So that's part of teamwork and knowing the rules. Any questions about the coach's role before we move on? Great. Okay. Heather, do you want to talk about the timeline?
Sure.
Hold on.
Yep.
Oh,
Sorry, I just put in the chat the team form. It's not
great.
titled team sign up form, unfortunately. So I wanted to let you know it's 6:33 p.m. Trisha, that'd be the team form.
Oh, Trisha, I think you need to give us access to that form.
Okay. Should I?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll finish responding to these things in the chat. I can see the registration list, so I just put in the chat if you want to check if your child's already submitted their form. You can do that. But let me talk about timeline. Registration forms are due tomorrow. We're going to try to sort out this whole where is the form issue by the end of this meeting. The team meetings are really at your own pace, so you're going to choose what pace feels reasonable. I recall when my elder daughter was in 3rd grade, there were many weeks between consecutive meetings, especially at the beginning, because you don't want to have another meeting until somebody's done a bit more reading. So you can set the timing of the meetings depending on how your kids are advancing and how excited they are about meeting, but maybe also work backwards from the date that the battles are. And we'll get to that in just a minute. What do you do during meetings? I will admit that for both of my kids, some of the meeting, no matter whose group it was, some of the meeting is talking about books, maybe doing practice questions, going over author pronunciation, or doing some of the other little fun exercises that we'll show in the very last slide here. Maybe looking at book videos. For the older kids, they sometimes got into writing some of their own questions, even just 1 or 2 based on books. this happens more when they get to middle school too. So yeah, for older kids, that might be more useful. And then some portion of the practice always ended up in just mayhem. So don't be disheartened if after a little bit of book talk, your kids just want to play. Like, that's just what they want to do. That is part of everybody's meeting process. There are also some good ideas at this link, teachingbooks.net, for topics, discussion topics, questions, things like that. We will try to help set up some infrastructure so you can arrange practice battles with other teams on your own. So you can reach out to other teams and say, hey, do you want to do a practice battle? That will be on your own to set up in the evenings sometime. If you're having trouble figuring out another team that might want to battle with you, you can reach out to one of us or to Beth. The RCP battles, the dates are not yet set. The dates will be set for the Rose City Park battles based on when the regional battle dates are. And those are not yet set either. But usually there's sometime, the regional battles are sometime like late March. So then Beth will choose the date for the RCP battle moving backwards from then. So let's say it's late March, let's say it's mid-March, then we would want the RCP battles to be at the very latest early March or latest February. So imagine in your mind that the date you want to be ready for is end of February, perhaps earliest March, but safest to plan for late February. The way that the battles will go is we'll get everybody together, all of the teams, and we'll have a sequence of battles. Usually we do 3 battles and in a round robin style. And then the top teams coming out of that big round robin of all the teams advance to a subsequent evening set of battles. So the RCP battles are in the evening on a weeknight, and we'll try to set dates as soon as the regional battle dates are set. Then after the second set of battles, which is like just the top teams, top 8, I think. After that set of battles, then the top, well, it'll depend exactly on how it goes, but it'll probably be the top 4 teams will have battles during the school day. And then the very final battle in pre-COVID times, the very final battle happened on stage in an assembly. And so people got to watch it. I don't know if they'll do it that way or not, but they might. Then the top team, after all the battles are done, that team will advance to regionals, but also pre-COVID, that top team would then battle a team made up of teachers, the principal maybe, and that is also an assembly that's available. And that is hugely popular, especially since the kids usually win. No. Trisha, are you going to be on that team? So the big thing is plan for the day you want to be ready, where at least one person from your team has read all of the 16 books in aggregate. So maybe one person's read 6, another person's read a different 6, like this. It's better if you have some overlap, having 2 kids that have read a book, even better. And you want to start working on finishing those books so that by the time you get to early February, you can start doing some practice battles with teams and then have the final battles in the evening in late February.
Charlie, you've got a question?
Oh, muted.
Sorry. During the battles, if certain kids are assigned like a certain number of books, but for some reason, like the combination of kids that's going to the battle doesn't cover all the books, or do they only cover certain books during the battles, or all of them all at once?
All of them. And if they don't know the answer, they don't know the answer. I mean, it happens all the time. There are plenty of questions that maybe no one's read the book, but in even greater number of cases, it's just an obscure question and nobody knows. It's not going to be shameful.
Okay, I was just curious.
Okay, we can keep going. I'll start looking at these names that people.
I think we've checked them so far, Heather. So All right, so what resources are there? And this is one reason why we wanted to share the link with you all. First of all, Oregon Battle of the Books has a website, and there are frequently asked questions there, and those are very helpful. During the height of the pandemic, it was less clear, but now we're back on track with the full process running. So that's a great resource. There's also a coach's guide that's published on the OBOB website that describes in great detail how to run a battle, the role of the coach. You know, we've excerpted some of that here tonight, but the coach's guide for whoever your coach ends up being is a great resource. And we'll make sure to make these available. We'll send them out to the coaches once that's all sort of finalized and set. There is a pronunciation guide for the authors' names and the pronunciation of the book titles at a website called teachingbooks.net. This is critical. Pronunciation does matter in OBOB battles. So it's just great to have kids practicing the proper pronunciation of the names. And we have an introduction to the books on YouTube. That's fun. I haven't watched that yet, but I should do that after this meeting. And then we've got a worksheet where you can match the author's name to the title. It seems like a really insurmountable task in the beginning, and now it's like a family joke. Anytime somebody names a book, we say by so and so and so and so. Like, you know, these you do learn them pretty quickly, but it takes some effort to get there. All right, there are more resources, so I'll just continue unless there are specific questions about these. Great. Okay, these are my favorite resources. Various libraries around Oregon put a lot of love and effort and attention into OBOB, which is really, really fun to see. The Cedar Mills Library out near Beaverton does practice questions for all of the books. These are super, super helpful to go through with your teams. They're not official questions, but they really give a sense of the level of detail and, you know, from my perspective, the sort of randomness of the questions. And it's fun for teams to practice together. Oh, there's also a Cahoots game. So some of these libraries also run like in-person or virtual events. I know many years ago we did like a practice battle at the Hollywood Library that was super fun and instructive. I'm not sure if Multnomah County is doing that this year. The Lake Oswego Library has practice questions listed book by book. So if your team is going through and reading a book at a time and wants to ask questions in that way, Lake Oswego Library is the place to go. The Washington County Library has a video explaining what the battles look like. So if you've got new students new to OBOB or a new team, that's worth looking at. And then the Beaverton City Library will be having questions in the future. So these, yeah, you kind of may have to go back and check a few of these links as the questions come together, but there are a lot of resources available. No surprise, librarians love this program. Any questions or additions about these links? Great.
Yeah, the Kahoot trivia battle that's posted on the Cedar Mills Library website for 3rd to 5th grade. I think registration opens up on, it says January 1st. I'll change this, but it opens on December 1st. And you can register the Kahoot game. It's an online trivia battle, and I think it's going to be held on December 27th. It doesn't replicate the actual format of the real battles. It's just kind of a chance to practice answering questions about these books. I'll change that in just a minute on the presentation.
Thanks, Heather. Okay. this feels like maybe a little bit of
Yeah.
detail that we may not need to go into tonight. I'm sure we'll do a different series of conversations for coaches. This is just how to score. So I suggest we skip this one, Heather.
I agree.
Okay. And I think that's it for the presentation. So I'll stop sharing my screen. Yeah, Emily.
Yeah, I was curious. I think I saw on the OBOB Facebook page that they had removed one of the books because it was hard to find in the US. Is it 10?
10, yeah.
Oh,
Is
And
that right?
So I saw that too on the OBOB Facebook page, and I understand it's removed at the regional level, but they have not yet decided if on the school level there will still be questions included, because I know that a bunch of schools have already purchased the book 10 and already have it available. Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to follow up on that one with you.
Okay. Yeah,
but
cool. It was a little confusing. So,
yeah, that would mean
yeah,
only
Trisha,
15 books.
have they been able to get it for our CP? Are there copies?
Well, we have it in our home.
Okay.
And we have a couple copies at RCP. I just bought it off of Amazon. I don't know. And I think I also got it. Oh, that might have been one I got at a Children's Place. They have it there as well.
Cool.
I'd have to say I did read that one, and it's hard. It's kind of slow at the beginning, so just stick it out because I was in tears at the end. So good tears, happy tears.
Cool.
Oh, no. It says that on our Amazon wish list, it says we don't have any yet. Bizarrely.
Okay.
You've seen them in the library, so that's good. Yeah. Other questions? Great. Well, oh yeah, Sarah and Charlie. Yeah.
I'm curious. We transferred from a different school because we just moved. So my son's in 3rd grade, but it's his first year at Rose City. And how do parents typically, my son has friends in his class, but I don't know any of the parents yet. Like, how do you have advice on how to maybe organize a group? Because I know he would be more into it if they were kids with him that he knew every day. So do you have suggestions? It's like, do parents reach out to teachers and ask like who else in the class has signed up, that sort of thing?
Yeah, you can ask Beth too. She knows who's in what class, and she's really good at this kind of thing. I think she's done this enough times that would be, I don't know, Sarah and Trisha, but that would be my first point of contact, would be to just email Beth and say exactly what you just said. I think Beth is even maybe going to show up here. Is she here? Beth, are you here?
No, Bethany Hollister's here.
Beth was maybe going to show up after her meeting.
And I can't be helpful.
Oh.
Sarah, what grade? Sarah, could you say again, what grade your son or daughter in?
It's my son. He's in Mr. Herman's class in 3rd grade.
I think
I was going to just check the list real fast and see if there's other students. Also, I just want to address Jill's question. So what I can see from our spreadsheet is that it's listed under team, and the team members are listed there as well. What I don't know is if the individual contract has been turned in from that student. So like, for example, my team, I turned in my daughter's form, which lists all of her team members. And so Beth put in all of the team member names. However, I know there's a student on my team who hasn't turned in her personal form. So for me to be able to answer, like, did every student turn in their form? I don't know, but Beth knows, like, that our team's together because I filled out that form.
So just to be clear, if I want to get a child of mine on an OBOB team, my pathway to do that is I have to get the form in that Trisha sent out to somebody by tomorrow. That's correct?
To Miss Ivester.
To Miss Ivester. Okay.
And if it, the ideal is tomorrow, but Vivi forgets and it goes in on, Thursday.
Okay.
That's totally fine.
Okay.
I just want to go back to, Sarah's question. I think, Ms. Ivester does a great job of pulling teams together, but I think you could also reach out to Matt and say, hey, my kiddo's interested. Do you have a recommended, or, I don't know if they can like share emails or something, but he may also know.
Mhm.
And this is like a really dumb question. I'm going to be very vulnerable right now and just say, how do I get a hold of Beth? Can you post her email? Like, I feel like she's someone that I should know, and everybody's talking about her. I'm just very out of the loop. So
Not at all. We are so happy to have you in our community, and I'm going to put Beth Ivester's
Awesome.
Zoom email address right here, but I guess I should double check before I send that. 1 second, please.
Okay. No pressure, but hopefully other people are wondering that same thing.
Oh, and I had it wrong, so good thing I looked.
Thank you.
And she's our school librarian, and she's wonderful, and she has spearheaded OBOB in some shape or form for years and years, and she's a real champion of the program.
Oh, cool. Amazing. Thank you for letting me know.
We're super lucky. She's an amazing librarian for schools. Yeah.
I'm sure my son knows her for what it's worth.
For sure. You may not call her Beth, but
Okay.
Charlie, you've got your hand up.
I was just curious, what's the turnaround in finding out if you have no idea what team your kiddo is going to be put on? Like when might we find out, and like a list of books so we can get started on focusing on the right books? I was just curious what that tends to be.
I would just find a book your kid wants to read for number one book.
Yeah, we've started
Okay.
one, but I think it's going to be, it's going to take us a little bit, but we're committed. I'm just thinking it would be helpful to have as much of a head start as we possibly can.
Yeah. Sorry, my kids are like losing it here. 1 second. Here's the full OBOB list, a link to the full OBOB list. I don't actually know. I mean, I think it takes some time for Miss Ivester, Beth, to sort of figure out what teams are. And I know like in the past, we've had her come to us and say, you've got 4 on your team. Can you take 5? I think the student will be a good fit, kind of thing. And that's just like a little bit of a process. And with the Thanksgiving week coming up, I know she's running the book fair. I mean, I would imagine like first week of December, but I haven't actually spoken to her about that specifically. So I don't know, Heather or Trisha, if you have.
That seems right. I see there are already 9 kids individually signed up without teams. So yeah, it seems like there's going to be, a cadre of kids. It sounds like from this meeting, more coming in. So matching everybody up. That'll be the challenge.
Mm-hmm. And there will be 2 more. Great. 4th graders. So great. Well, I'm happy to stay on the line a little bit longer if folks have more questions, but otherwise, that's definitely all of our information. And yeah, Trisha, do they turn into Miss Ivester or at the main office or to their teachers? Do we know how the forms go in?
They can. Oh.
Yeah.
I think they can turn them directly into Miss Ivester. It's typically what they do, but if they get to the office, they should find their way to Miss Ivester as well.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Beth, can you remind me whose class Vivi's in?
She is in Miss Holben's class.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Liam is in Davidson's.
Okay.
So I've got one of each. So yeah, if there's a place for them somewhere, that would be awesome.
Or we can
Yeah,
sort
I'll
of
look around. I have one other student who isn't sure because they haven't found a team, so maybe they can all form together or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
We'll stay in touch. Thank you. I'm sorry that I'm like so late to the party, but
Not
it
at
didn't
all.
make its way.
You're not alone. Is it Gillian or Jillian? You asked about how to get the form to Miss Ivester. You can ask your kiddo to take it to the library. I think you could also ask your kiddo to give it to your teacher, and your teacher will get it to Miss Ivester or to the office. So whatever seems easiest for your kid, I think will be just fine.
Yeah, I emailed it to her, but their names weren't on your list, so I wasn't sure how else to get it to her. Not to sound, not to doubt my kid, but I'm not sure that I have the paperwork for the whole team, so I'm just not sure. I want to trust him with 4 other kids' paperwork.
Right. And you said you emailed it to her, but we didn't see the names on the. Yeah, I didn't see.
Yeah, I emailed it to her, I think, last week.
We should do.
I texted her. I said, "Can I email it to you?" And she said yes. So I scanned it and emailed it to her. But I know she's been busy with the book fair, so I don't know if it just didn't get on there. So I'm just trying to cover myself and trying to get the physical papers in. So if you have any thoughts on the best way to do that.
Well, you still have the scans, right? We can just send a note to say that we talked to you and you sent these across, and did you get them?
Okay. That would be great.
Yeah. And it's Rowan Biggs, Andrew Toe, Elon Bernstein.
Right.
Abel Jackson. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. Christy, did you have any questions? No. Okay, cool. Thanks, everyone. Trisha, you're muted.
Thanks for the reminder. Thank you, guys. Hey,
You've got to stop recording, otherwise it won't.
All right, let's stop.
Otherwise the whole thing will.
Okay, it might take me a while. This computer is so ancient.
We'll just watch you. We'll just watch you as you do this.
I'm gonna try to look composed as I do it.